Hello, everybody, and welcome to our last webinar on robotic process automation. I am Alessandro Maserati, Head of AI at Logol, and it's a pleasure for me today to welcome all of you on behalf of Stefano Perucchi and Marco Farina from the Ticino chapter of SLTA at our third event about the benefits of automation for professional firms. Let me first spend a few words about SLTA. The Swiss LegalTech Association is a non-profit association which offers a framework for lawyers, entrepreneurs, investors, academics, and professionals to create value together. The SLTA supports the legal industry by providing a better understanding of the legal technology market, and we foster the development of Switzerland as a hub for the legal sector. The third event is a part of the series SLTA Talks 2022 in collaboration with Logol, a Swiss provider of cutting-edge technology solutions. We choose to organize these events facing hot topics like AI, blockchain, and robotic process automation because we strongly believe that the digital transformation in the professional and legal sectors will redefine completely the business scenario. SLTA has been working closely with Logol to face this challenge, create value, and together gain the benefits of new technological solutions by delivering a free series of online events about new technologies applied to legal and professional sectors. The agenda of today includes two short presentations of Serge Kolitz, automation lead at Luzerner Cantonal Bank, and Stefano Bevivino, Team Leader Automation Center at Credenbanca, about their experience of robotic process automation, and we continue with an open debate moderated by Mara Pometti, Lead AI Strategist at IBM, that will allow us to better understand the potential risk and benefits of these technologies. During the presentation, feel free to write down all your questions in the chat, and our guest will try to answer all of them after the debate. Now I will leave the floor to Mara, that first give us an overview about the topic, and the latter will moderate the debate. Thank you, Mara.
Thank you, Alessandro. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited, actually, to be part of this event around RPA. I'm Mara Pometti, Lead AI Strategist at IBM. And in fact, in my daily role, I usually work with organizations to build AI strategies that align with their business strategic imperatives. So basically, I help companies understand where to apply AI with a purpose. And because I'm very aware of the challenges that organizations face today to really advance their transformation, digital transformation, I'm really glad that today we have two great speakers to confront and talk about the importance of RPA in the enterprise, which is becoming crucial for the success of digital transformation today. In fact, all the organizations are really trying to make their business processes and operations more efficient and quicker. And of course, to do that, they have to automate all the time-consuming processes and tasks that really get their employees wasting time on something that machines should take care of. Really giving back employees time that they can invest on more profitable jobs and tasks. And so today we really want to reflect deeper on how RPA, especially through the lens also of the new advancement in AI and other systems and tools that provide RPA meaning and context, much meaning and context. We want to really understand how to embed it in the fabric of today's organizations, so to speed up the digital transformation. And so let me introduce the two speakers that Alessandro already mentioned, just to give you a little bit more of background about their experience. So today we have Serge Kaulitz. Serge works as automation lead at Luzerner Cantonal Bank. He has spent more than 10 years at Luzerner Cantonal Bank, where he has covered many increasing positions. With a deep expertise of banking support, he knowledge covers many further topics, such as business analysis digitalization, robotics process automation, digital assets, and cryptocurrencies. He holds a Master of Advanced Studies in Computer Science. While the second speaker is Stefano Bevivino. Stefano works as team leader, Automation Center at Credem Bank. In 2008, he joined the Credito Emiliano Group, Credem, and has had many roles in IT and sales department before being called to get the role of project manager in electronic Italian invoicing project for all the group. Afterwards, in 2019, thanks to the experience that he gained, he became part of the project of the Credem's Automation Center, supporting and leading this reality, which aims to use all the competencies and the available technologies such as RPA, BPM, OCR, and AI, just to name a few, to support the digital transformation and help the user in their daily operations. So now I give our speakers the floor, and then we'll get into conversation and a debate afterwards. So Sergio, I let the speech to you.
To 1,250 employees, state guaranteed, AA, but not so famous for digital product. But we had some success in the last years, and we did some great efforts. The Look a Key app, and also the mobile app is an example for that. So and behind closed doors, we do also cool stuff, and that leads to RPA. So first, you have to understand what is RPA, what does it do for you and your organization, and it's pretty simple actually. It's a mimic of human behavior with software. So he does everything you do with a user interface on the desktop. The robot also does, and there is no adjustment of processes, so it uses just the UI. I figured it out. People don't really know when I tell them it's a mimic human behavior software what it does. So I always show a video for that, and I hope you can see it now. We have two sorts of robots we use. So the first is an attended robot. That's the back office robot, which works on different times during the day. No one has to start it or stop it. The second is a virtual assistant, which you see now, which you have several processes maybe on your desktop, and you can push the play button and it starts. Maybe gets sources from a spreadsheet and fills it out to a CRM. So do you have different kind of sorts of processes you can manage and use. That's really important how to understand what robotics can do and how it works to implement automation in your company. So we have already implemented 30 robots, the same amount of robots in regression, with a team of 4 or 5 people with that. So different use cases on different departments all over the bank, back office, legal department, security, and so on. The second you have to understand, RPA is not the tool for everything. So we have different tools we use for automation. So of course it's automation in applications, maybe say core banking systems, and so on. The second is process automation. So when you talk about processes and optimize them. The third, of course, is outsourcing, which makes sense in some processes and others not. And the last is the new tool we have now is robotics. And as I said, robotics is not a tool for everything, but it has some big benefits. What's the added value of robotics? First, we can provide an agile way to implement use cases and processes in a different way. So on the core banking system and other systems, we have only a short time of deployment and release windows. And with robotics, we have a lot of different possibilities to deploy them actually every day or a minute or an hour. So that's a big benefit. Second is there's cost reduction which comes with robotics. So we can do on one robot several processes. We have a 24-hour budget for one robot which you can use, and when a process does take maybe 1 hour, we have 1 hour less budget of that. So you can make big leverage out of the 24 hours in the process. So the next and one of the most important benefits is it's system independent. So what does that look like? You don't have to use interfaces. As I said, we use the desktop. We use every application a user or an employee uses, and we have no limits of that. We can jump into a browser, go to a web application. We can go to local applications. We can go to virtual applications. So we have no limit for that, and that's a big benefit. Also, challenge when you have to manage the whole process in it. The second or third benefit, of course, 24 hours, 24/7. A robot can work on weekends when other employees are sleeping or have off time. That's also a benefit within that. Lower and no error rate in the process. And let me say that when you program or engineer a robot, of course, when you do it wrong, it has an error rate. But when it's tested, it doesn't make any type errors. That's what it means. You have also different kind of tools you can use within robotics, OCR, AI tools, and so on. And then you also have some measurements or confidential levels which you can use, and gives also a bit of error rates when a picture is detected or not. Mostly there is shorter throughput times within the robot. You don't have to figure out where the button is, so you just put it right away. And there are also new use cases you can implement with such tools, where other employees had not enough time to do the job. So that leads to the first use case I want to show you. And don't worry, that's not the documentation we do. It's just a scribble when we start with the process to modulize. We have the process implemented, which is named Active Advisory. We give every robot the name. So here is Warren. Warren has one job to do. He gathers information for our relationship managers. What he does. So the problem is, every relationship manager has a portfolio of users or of customers, and the customer has X amount of shares in his portfolio. So every month, 15% of the whole share universe in the LookIB gets a new rating. So the relationship manager has to gather all the information and inform the customers. That's a huge job, a lot of data which he has to go through, so it's not possible for them. So now the robot Warren does that for the relationship manager. So he gathers all the rating changes in the applications, core banking system, other systems, gather that into a spreadsheet with information, email, and send it to the relationship manager. So he sees it at one click, which shares has changed the rating. that. The next use case I want to show you is dossier preparation, also for customer, for relationship managers. There is also a problem. The relationship manager has a target of one meeting per day with a customer. So it's a lot of effort, a lot of preparations, and a lot of documents which have to be controlled and so on in case of different regulations. So what we do now with the robot is we give the relationship manager a standardized set of documents. We check that first in every system we need: core banking system, archives, databases, and check if it's there, if it's right, and when not, we fill it out for the relationship manager and send it to him in an email. You see here how it's sent to him. We attach the files. We not print it out, of course. We don't want to have paper trash, so we send it to him with attached with his emails, and also give the status what we did and how if there's something wrong. So we check basic contracts, email agreements, declarations, ID cards. So this use case is used by 239 relationship managers. So it's a great relief for the front. In this time, we say it's around 10 minutes relief for every customer or relationship manager in there. And what we also can provide, also in terms of risk and compliance, is we give a standardized set within every meeting they have, so they don't forget the ID copy or other very important documentation or documents in that. So how can automation support LookIB also on different levels? First, I have to say you can't quantify everything. So we have different dimensions which we measure. So first, of course, is quality and efficiency improvement. That's the first. Also, the board and everyone wants to know, because return of investment is of course important. In that, robotics is very good. So you have low costs on infrastructure. It also depends if you have an on-prem infrastructure or outsourcing model, but you have in general a low cost environment. You can also do operational leverage. So your employees can do more important jobs, and the boring stuff you can leave for the robots. So with the same amount of people, you can do more. Of course, you get a robot then, but it's good leverage. You have quick solutions. We implemented use cases 1.5 days. It was COVID case, so you have really quick solution times if you need it. And as I said, the relief for the employees is big. They don't have a lot to do in operations, in engineering also. They don't have much to do, so that's also a big benefit. You also get risk reduction. It depends also what kind of cases you implement. When you have a company critical case, you also have to risk, or you have to look if is the process stable in operations. So, but you can manage the risk reduction with a robotics use case, and can say, well, let's go through the process every hour or more often than an employee can do it. So what robotics are not so good is you can't get rid of employees, and a robot is dumb. So it can do the simple spreadsheets very good. So structured data, gathering information, and that is really good. You also have tools to make the robot smarter, of course, today with AI and other things. But you for cognitive other things, you need employees still, and that's also a benefit for the employees. Insourcing, that is meant when you automate the process, you also lose some know-how on the process itself. So that's also a risk. You have to be aware of that. 24/7, it's a benefit and also a risk, because at the weekend we don't have support normally. We have to build it out of the robotics process automation governance, and that also has to be managed. So what's success factors and opportunities versus risk? So first, the most important thing is you have to have a stable setup. So infrastructure, governance, processes, reviews. So that's very important. Do it with an interdisciplinary team. So take teams out of the departments, which explains you the process, and also work very tightly with the engineers and the business analysis. Acceptance and trust. People have to understand what robotics is and what it can and what it can't. So that's important. And of course, you have to have enough use cases, and that's maybe sounds obvious, but it's actually really hard in the long run to, after the low-hanging fruits, find all the time new cases. So out of that, you get several opportunities and risks. As I said, cost savings, agile implementation, possible complementary technology, AI, OCR, NLP is also really good for that. Expensive interfaces, so you have a short time solution for that on a different level. With UI, you don't need interfaces. And you have also competition within the organization to find new solutions for existing automation tools, and that's also good. Risks, not enough use cases, and a big risk is growing complexity and effort in the engineering and also operations. You have to manage really a lot of systems. When a process go to from end to end in user story, you have maybe involved 5 to 6, 7 systems. So that's a high complexity you have to manage. And last, high cost for infrastructure when you have it on-prem and additional software. It's not cheap, but there are different models now, and all in all, you have a good cost saving opportunity. So that was it from me for the first part. I gave over to Mara.
Thank you very much, Sergio, for this enlightening presentation. Now I leave the stage to Stefano, actually, so we can hear also from his experience. Welcome, Stefano.
Thank you, Mara. Good afternoon to everybody. I will share my presentation in just a few seconds. Okay. I'm Stefano Bivino, the Competence Leader of Automation Center, acronym. The Automation Center is the center of excellence of the bank to lead the technology RPA. Let me introduce Credem in order to make you understand the company where I've been working for 14 years. Credem is a national bank. The head of 18 companies is an holding involved most in financial service, but also in IT services. It has been recognized as the best European bank about financial strength for asset and liability by ACB. It has more than 500 branches, as you can see, around 6,300 employees, and around 500 financial advisories and 1,003,100,000 customers. But let's go on. Credem approached RPA in 2018, starting with a prior period with the main aim to reduce cost and depreciation. All started with a POC, a proof of concept, with the help of a partner, in order to have the right and necessary support about competences. In fact, Credem didn't have any at the beginning. The result of the POC has been a success, and in 2019, the management decided to create a center of excellence, the automation center, an independent team with the mission to acquire competencies and to drive the use of this technology. After 4 years of experience on using RPA, Credem has gained the benefit of cost saving, but not only that. Using RPA, simulating human behavior, we have let employees to look to higher value activities. In fact, if you, as told before, search, if something is not anymore manually done, this is an high value where people can drive to other opportunity, other activity in the field of the bank, maybe in sales, in revenue. And of course, RPA lets to delete human error because there is a machine that does the activity. And another benefit that we have gained is the increase of IT security, because when you have a machine that does the activity, it needs rules and it follows rules. So there is not a human that can do as you want or in his manner. There is a standard to follow. And of course, the RPA can manage easily a peak of volume, because if you have a robot, you can double the strength. You can put 1, 2, 3, 4 robots doing the same activity. So maybe if you have an activity that during the year change the volume, and you know that maybe at the beginning of the year, at the middle of the year, June, July, are months that often there are a lot of activity instead of maybe the holiday period or something like that. Another benefit using RPA is that you can monitor the activity and you have the data of all the activity that RPA does. Last but not least, you can boost scalability opportunities, as before search say, because if you can very quickly adjust and be reliable if there is a change. But where does Credem use RPA today? Having success, now we can approach RPA, we can use RPA in sales network, credit, IT, compliance, and audit. We have around 83 RPA running today, and you have to think about a firm where there are 83 people, machine people, who are working instead of us. And it's really another one company that you can add to the other of the holding of the bank. But I want to tell you a case. a specific case that was very important for us. And this case was the credit check evaluation on credit card sale. Credit card, you know what it is. Everyone uses it, and you have to think that the volume in credit bank is 35,000 cards sold per year, and the process is very easily. Of course, I mentioned just two points of the process, not all the process, but in order to make you understand, customer requests a credit card, customer account manually check if the customer is deserving using the legacy procedure, and of course, if the credit check is successfully completed, the back office is engaged and ship the card. At the end, if all is fine, customer receives the card. All the activity of the manual check was done per every piece, so 35,000 times, and it was done using not only one legacy procedure, but many of them, and it occurred several days to complete all the manual check. We put, first of all, one bot, but to manage the peak of the year, nowadays we can count 6 bots. I mean bot as RPA, maybe it's the translation, sorry for that. But now that we have 6 RPA running and doing the manual, the check, the credit check instead of a human, now we can say that we have reached this objective. Operational efficiency, because we have created a unique operational standard. We have completely canceled all the human errors, and we have reduced the risk of counterfeit operations. We have reached the 20% of lead time. We have had a reduction of time in terms of cost of 14 full-time equivalent. This time, this amount, this huge amount of time saved today is used by the sales network to a higher value activity. They are focused on revenue. They are focused on financial advisory. And of course, we are able to double or even more the capacity of manage the credit check if we want to add maybe one more control, or we want to change maybe the service level agreement or something. We doesn't need the IT. We doesn't need to spend a lot of time, but we just change something in the RPA and we immediately have the result done. The revenue of this, you can see, was 500,000 euro. So it was a great success. Using RPA is not a big bang. It's a long journey. And what I can say is that you can start by something you can manage, you can measure, sorry. You have to define the rules. You have to be plan and prepare maybe for the next activity, for scale up, for doing that, you have to create a model. It's not been easy introducing an RPA in a bank, but today is a solid reality created by experience and result. And today, the automation center doesn't need to search for a use case, to search for something to automate, or something to where apply the RPA, but are all the departments of the bank that ask for it and come to us and ask for, can I have a robot? For the future, we would like to apply the model that we have acquired in our bank, and we would like to spread in the other company of the group, because the other companies are smaller, and it is you have to use a different approach, because costs cost for the architecture, for the infrastructure to put the RPA are not short, or not little, and this is the great wall to jump over to install RPA in a company. And that's it. Thank you. I leave the word to Mara.
Thank you very much, Stefano, also for your presentation. And so after all this information that we understood from both you and Serge, I would open up to the debate by starting asking you guys a few questions to start digging into the details of your experience, day-to-day experience with RPA. So let me start from the first question that maybe also someone in the audience is asking. Is it better for you, in your opinion, an in-house or a service-based solution? And that's a very interesting question to me. Either Serge or Stefano, who wants to take the lead?
You want, and I told you how we approach RPA. So we didn't use our competencies, or we didn't use our competencies, or we didn't use our IT. But we engaged a partner, and so you can think about something at the beginning like a service, but it's not really a service, but something like that. And we decided to have in-house the installation, and not to have the RPA as a service, not to have a cloud, not to have something outside the bank, of course for security reason, and to protect what we are doing. And today we are looking at something that we can is provided like services. The competence center is something that use RPA, but make the RPA available for all other banks as a service. Just we use our infrastructure, our computer, our cloud. But if I have to talk, if I have to think, a firm who want to start to approach RPA, the first thing that has to think is security, and has to think on how big is the goal. How think is the number of RPA they want to improve. Because if you think to have use cases for 10 RPA or 5 RPA, you have a short infrastructure to improve, and you can approach in house. You can say to your IT or a team to use this infrastructure. If you think from the beginning that you will arrive to 100 bots, 100 RPA, or maybe more, I think that the choice is different, and maybe as a service is better. But Serge, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I would say it depends. It depends on the organization. It depends on the plan you have. So I think it's really important to have a plan, what you want to do, and do you have a backlog of processes? So you have to dig in first, which departments are good for automation. And if you don't have any use cases, it makes no sense to have an on-prem infrastructure. So maybe you can use then a SaaS service model, and with help of partners, automate some use cases. So, but you have now a really good, the providers and the partners have a really good set of different models, and you can pick out actually what you need and what you use. So it depends.
Interesting. Also, exactly. Let's not forget the flexibility offered by service providers. And on that, I'll ask actually a second question, since we have talked about cloud security and applications models. So, is it true that RPA does not require IT knowledge? Serge, maybe you can start this one.
I didn't understand. Sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah, is it true that RPA does not require IT knowledge?
Oh, yes, that's a good one. So, yes, it does require very much knowledge of IT. So we made the experience with education of our own employees to engineer some robots, and it's really hard for them when they have no IT knowledge. So the tools look really fancy, and you have maybe a process flow like engineering tool, but behind that it's also very engineering like loops and other things you have to program. So that is not true in my point of view. And it's, as I said, very, very complex actually to have all the systems stable in operations. You have to think about regression. You have to think about testing, release management, new use cases, analysis, also maybe different tools you use, AI. That's also very technical when you want to try to get to the right answer and tools you can use. Yeah. So
I'm with you completely. What about you, Stefano? What do you think about it?
1 million questions, and of course I agree with Serge and with you, Mara. Having IT knowledge is necessary to approach the technology. Maybe at the beginning you can have a partner that has it, and then you can acquire later, as we did. So we are the case. We acquire the IT knowledge later. Of course, I am speaking about the IT knowledge in the RPA field, of course, but later or soon you need it. You need it because the governance of the RPA is something that needs IT knowledge, need people who are skilled in IT, and not only developer, but also the user of RPA. Because we have to remember that you can develop code and you can write code and have an RPA running, but you have to think that first of all, the robots or the RPA will do something that an employee in the financial, in the credit, in the compliance field does. So the business, the data that the RPA manager is something that not an engineer can think, can use, and knows how to use it. But you need the person who does the activity where the RPA will be installed and where the RPA will do their activity. So I come back to the question: Is IT necessary? yes, it's mandatory, not necessary, mandatory.
Very clear on point, absolutely. And so since we have talked about actually the maintenance and the development of RPA, what's in your opinion the real actual benefit of these applications? I mean, I remember Stefano talked about revenue, talk about something very similar. So what's your opinion on that, about the benefits?
Well, if I may start. So you have several benefits. At first, when you understand robotics, you have a different tool to automate processes. Robotics is a story from end to end processes, not within one standalone application. When you automate within an application, you have maybe a user an interface to another application. But with robotics process automation, you can do the whole journey. So let's make an example. An email comes to an inbox. The robot picks it out, takes the attached PDF, takes out with OCR the data, fill it in a ERP system, manage other systems to get together another information, and then send it to the right person. So that's I think is one of the main benefits. Besides the very agile production and engineering possibility you have. What do you mean, Stefan?
I'm not sure to catch the question or the meaning, but if I have to think at the main benefits of RPA and the reason why Credem approached RPA, it has been, of course, cost reduction, and that's the first point. The second point is that at the beginning we didn't understood what RPA brought us to in the later period in order to manage the technology. To manage the technology, so the governance of technology is something that just in the last year we have understood on how complex it is and how effort it needs. Because when you reached 83 RPA running, it's like a firm in terms of security, in terms of people who take care of it, in terms of education, and it's something big. It's not easy, and also the monitoring of the system, because RPA is not perfect. It's a technology that needs you have to monitor it. You have to when you have an error, because maybe if you move through your screen and point and click like a human, maybe you are navigating a web application, a website. Mm-hmm. The website is not yours, but is of a third party, and the third party updates the website. The robot doesn't work anymore. So you need to have people to take care of it, who monitor if it's still working and if it is properly working. And it is not easy.
I totally agree. Just one point. I totally agree with Stefano. So every automation starts with you want to reduce costs. So keep that in mind. Beside that, you also have some benefits other automation tools don't have. As I said, agile, whole user stories, and so on. And that's what you have to keep in mind. So every automation journey starts with reducing costs. That's for sure. Right.
In fact, let me pick on actually something else that you guys touched based on, and so the mistakes, the fact that RPA is not perfect. So what happens, for example, and we all, I guess, have experienced that when a bot, an RPA application, sends an email to the wrong customer, for example. Who is accountable for that? How do you handle the problem? Sergio.
Okay, I start. Stefan is on mute. Of course, testing. You have to find it out before it goes into operation. As I said, robots don't make mistakes, so it's wrong engineered when it makes a mistake in that. In the most cases. Overall, so when you have a list of emails or employees you want to send the message to, and it is a wrong addressat in it, so it was wrong programmed. You have to do we call it hypercare phase. You have to watch really closely before you go to the production how the robot works, what it does, was its the outcome of every process. Do you have not only think about the happy flow, but also the bad flow? I think it's really important. And after that, you also should have a regression. You have to figure out when a system in the development environment changes, because afterwards you have the problem in production, and maybe then you have a new problem or error in there. So, yeah, I think you should figure it out before. Stefano, what do you think about testing and errors?
Testing is something that you need in every field, also in RPA. And we have a team that does it. We have a team that not only tests the application, we have a sort of parallel environment where we do tests, and when the tests are okay, of course, we move to change the production environment. But it's not enough. It's not enough, and so we have a team specialized on monitor, checking, and observe the running of RPA. And we have a troubleshooting, of course, to grab all the alarm and all the user alerts that help us to check the RPA, check if everything's okay, and if something is not. We have that team that takes the RPA, check the code, check of course, other procedures where the RPA goes to point and click, and if it is enough, they make the correction and they put the update on in order to have the RPA running okay. And there are sometimes that this road is not enough because maybe the team is not able to understand immediately the failure. So we stop it, and we ask for a few moments. Maybe they are minutes, they are hours, not more than 3 hours. We have an agreement. We can stop the RPA just for 3 hours, not more, and we try to fix. We also have something like the VR in the VR in the football. You know the VR in the football where the referee stop the game, goes to the monitor and replay what has occurred, and then decide. we have something like that. We have a record of the point and click of the RPA, and with this record, we can understand what's happened, and we apply the correction. It's the last chance.
I think it is one of the hardest thing in RPA to figure out every exception which can happen in an application. So as I said, the happy flow is really easy to engineer. So one point to another, A to B, it's good. But every exception to detect, that's the masterclass of robotics. And of course, if you don't do or find out every exception, you have maybe an error or a stop in the process.
And I see a few questions actually from the audience. Let's be clear on the risks associated with RPA. Let's elaborate further on the risks. Either Serge or Stefano.
Well, Serge before the slide reported about risk and reported one important thing. RPA is not for all seasons. RPA is not for everything. RPA, you have to think about where you use it. In the bank, we doesn't use RPA where operations are risky or operation if the operation doesn't go well, the RPA doesn't work properly, we don't use RPA because we doesn't afford, we doesn't trust RPA like a legacy procedure. But not because RPA is not secure, but because RPA moves towards the legacy procedures like a human. And this behavior can bring the RPA to make error. And if something, if you want to use RPA in some activities that are risky, I suggest you not to do that.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. So you have to look at the use cases and processes, if they're critical to your company or not. And if they're too critical, it's maybe not a good idea to automate, or maybe only automate some parts of it. But there is also some other risk, IT security, which you should address. Also, user-based risks or challenges. If you program a robotics user, you maybe get to a super user which has a lot of access to a lot of systems. So you have to manage that with a good governance. So only use case based access rights for the robots and so on. But on the other side, the systems are today very auditable, very compliant. So it's more like it's like we said in the beginning, you have to have IT knowledge when you implement robotics, and it also comes with security concerns and that.
Thank you both for clarifying this point. I'll return the word to Alessandro then to close up the event. To you, Alessandro.
Thank you, Mara. Thank you, Stefano. Thank you, Serge, for your interesting topic that you touched today. It was a very interesting debate. And thank you, everybody that follow our discussion. Let's stay tuned for next events of SLTA. Thank you, everybody.